Well, no, that's all included actually in that one. It's not violent.
A striker or not violent, that's the next word.
Yeah, I know, but included in not a drinker,
right.
Which is, it says not given to drink wine or to stay near wine, i.e. tavern or where other people drink.
Hold on,
guys.
Yes, Diane.
If I want to be an example, and I don't want to cause people to get confused and stumble and fall, then I just stay away from those dumb things.
Yeah,
right.
Simple as that.
And if you look at Jewish tradition, the wine was only 10% wine, the rest was water. Okay, it was a heavily diluted wine that they served at weddings.
So here's the thing. We see it already here. We're already, Steve picked up on it immediately because of different interpretations. King James says not given to no wine. Other interpretations say not given to much wine. Okay? It'd be the same qualification as a deacon then. Because they're not given to much wine. My personal feeling about this is I know that I have no problem. I have no problem with if you want to be a minister and you're at home and crack open a beer, that's fine. Not me. Don't get me started, because I got a clear conviction on that. You know, I've never been drunk in my life, but I know when the Holy Spirit's speaking to me, and the Holy Spirit told me, you get out of these taverns, and the only time you come back in is you get up on the table and you start preaching. But if you're not going to do that, you better stay out of the tavern.
Why were you in them, Pastor?
Just hanging around, you know, before I was, you know, just hanging around, you know.
Before you do better, before you do
well, I was still saved. I never drank until I was 18, and a Christian, by the way. So, but, you know, I thought, well, you know, just kind of hang around with your friends and drink, and I didn't want to get drunk, and then the Holy Spirit said, no, you couldn't drink. You don't drink it. Stop. You're not drinking at all. And then so I'm in there drinking pop, and you know, with everybody else drinking beer and getting smashed, and then the Holy Spirit said, no, now's the time to get out of these places. You don't need to be in these places. And so that was a personal conviction. I personally feel like it's this is somebody's interpretation that I just read here of what it means in the Greek, okay? But this is what I want to say, is that I don't think any minister should be hanging around the taverns with a coat or not. You should not be hanging around the taverns. If you're going to be a minister, you have to get out. First of all, taverns are nothing but a swirling cesspool of demonic spirits. Okay? I know that in those taverns, quite often people talk about God. I understand that completely.
You can't shut a drunk up about talking.
But the whole thing of it is, it's a really poor place to preach the gospel unless you're led by the Holy Spirit to do it. And so for years and years and years, in fact, I had a ministry of street witnessing in front of bars, and for years and years and years, I preached in front of bars, and sometimes went in and got up on the pool tables. There was a year there on a Thursday we used to go to all the pool halls in the Quad Cities and preach on top of the pool tables. Never got kicked out of any bar, never got in any trouble, nothing. Just preach the gospel, and it was a Holy Spirit thing. But I would just say that if you're going to have a beer, have it at home, and that'd be my best counsel. If you're going to be a minister, a public minister.
Can I make just one suggestion? If you are bothered by this, if you feel any conviction, what you need to do is spend a lot of time in prayer over this and keep praying about it until the Holy Spirit gives you a clear and concise answer. And I got a feeling that if you do that, you'll be more agreeable with Ron's side of the argument than you will with any other side of the argument.
Because to me, this definition is basically saying, don't act like the bar crowd. Don't be a brawler and an arguer, and you know that kind of thing happens in bars. Am I not right? You know.
Well, that's just tricky.
You know, so don't be a part of that crowd, and don't be a drinker. You know. Yeah, Dennis. So that's just what I feel like. Laura?
Two things. One, when I went to college over at Blackhawk, and one of my instructors, as part of our finals, we had to go to a place for our homework finals to meet, and she could go over a grade. It was in a bar area. As a Christian, I felt uncomfortable going into a bar, period. But she said we had to go there, or we were going to get an F for the final. You know, like, what do you do?
Which I thought was wrong.
You know, my class. Like,
I still didn't have to drink.
No,
I just felt uncomfortable even for.
I'm sure you did, because that wasn't...
And then at Walmart, when we were cashiering, I told him I didn't even want to sell cigarettes in cigarette aisles because I don't really sell cigarettes, but we didn't have no choice. We had to bring up the liquor. You know, we had no choice. But that was bad as a Christian. You know, you start it.
Now, when I was growing up, there was a Catholic priest that closed the bar every night we went. He was there every day, drinking.
See?
Well, when I really was, I'd met the Lord before, I was discipled, but given to backsliding, I would hang around my friends, and I would do good for a while, and they'd see me doing good, and they knew that I was trying to live for Christ. But I was still hanging around them, and they're drinking and doing drugs. Well, 4 or 5 months down the road, the next thing you know, I'm drinking and doing drugs, but I still didn't stop preaching to them. So I wound up being a drunken, drug-addicted preacher.
You got their message better than they got yours.
But, the thing was that, they knew what I was trying to do. They knew what I thought was right and wrong. They knew I had the same problems as they did. So I think the Lord used me in spite of my idiot self to get the gospel to people that might not have heard it otherwise. And I guarantee you about a whole bunch of them witnessed that foot in church.
Like there's always the perfect will of God and the permissible will of God.
Maybe something.
I never thought of that, Pastor.
Maybe something about
I wasn't expecting that one.
This comes from the book of Proverbs. It was written about 6,000 years ago. Okay? It says, who has woe, who has sorrow?
Who has readiness of eyes?
Attention. Who has complaining? Who has wounds without cause? Who has redness of eyes? Those who linger long over wine. Those who taste this wine. Do not look on the wine when it's red, when it sparkles in the cup, when it goes down smoothly. At the last, it bites like a serpent and stings like a viper. Your eyes will see strange things, and your mind will utter perverse things. You will be like one who lies down in the middle of the sea, or like one who lies down on the top of the mast. They struck me, but I did not become ill. They beat me, but I did not know it. Who shall I await that shall seek another thing?
I'll tell you one I like, a very quick one. And I can't remember where it's at, Pastor. You might know. Wine, women, and song have destroyed my people of their brains. You heard that one?
Yeah.
I don't know where it's at. Wine, women, and song have robbed my people of their brains. It does.
I'm going to read. This is. I found several that was like this. Okay. Not given to wine. The Greek includes, besides this, not indulging in brawling, violent conduct towards others, which proceeds from giving to wine, the opposite of patient or forbearing, reasonable to others. And then, where you said, Dennis, that's included in the next one. Not violent in the King James, or in another translation you might say no striker, with either hand or tongue not as some teachings pretending a holy zeal. But again, I've seen this in several different places. It's not just the drinking of wine, but it's the conduct. It's the conduct and the fellowship also. Now this one here, it doesn't talk about the fellowship, but it talks about the issue is not just the wine, whether it's no wine or some wine and not drunk. It's the whole scene. It's the whole atmosphere of being brawling or having violent conduct towards others. And it's opposite of being patient. So it's the whole conduct of being around people that are heavy drinkers, shall we say.
Charlie told me last week, made a good point, was that it does say bad company or bad communications corrupt good morals.
Right.
But it doesn't say it the other way. It doesn't say good morals combat bad company, and you know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't work the other way.
There's also an argument that people use, well, Jesus, he hung around with prostitutes, and he hung around with tax collectors and the drunkards, and he drank with them, and he ate with them. Keep God. Okay.
There's also disciples.
Yeah.
And again, remember, we're talking about special categories of Christians here. This is not blanket for the whole Christian faith.
Actually,
Ron, in what you're talking about here, in the second part of this discussion, the first part is the things that we should be, or that a bishop should be. Then in verse 3, it's no drunkard, not violent, but gentle, not quarrelsome. So that's like the flip side. You know, the things to be, the things not to be. Because you can't be the first things and then
In
be
spirit
the
and
second
flesh,
things.
isn't it?
I think the whole idea is that you shouldn't be a person that is drawn to sin, that makes a friend of the world.
You need to be consistent.
So not greedy for money, not greedy for filthy lucre, maybe like some
I love that in the King James. Filthy lucre.
Sordid gain.
No love for
Filthy
Love of
lucre.
money.
Love of money or
Sordid means
No
soiled.
love for money.
Well, I don't see that in my translation. Where do you have it in?
Charlie's got an NASB.
What is it?
Yeah, no love for
Sort
money.
of gain would be
that must be
Sordid gain.
soiled money.
Corrupted gain.
it's basically like love of money.
Not greedy for filthy lucre in the King James, I think.
Sort of gain would be to take advantage of somebody for financial gain.
For money.
Yeah.
Well, it could be, but
Look
it could
down
also,
gains, leave the path to hell.
I think
but Charlie,
Temporary pleasures lead the path to hell.
Charlie, it could also be cheating someone on the price of something that you know is worth less, so that you can get more money out of it.
You know, my third wife used to take, every time we go to the grocery store, she'd put the 2 12-packs of soda on the bottom rack, and hoping that the cashier wouldn't see it, And I explained to her, you're stealing this soda just because they don't notice it. It doesn't mean that you get it for free. And she'd say, oh, well, they have more money like than I do.
That would work now.
Yeah, well, that's their
Yeah.
Now, it wouldn't work now.
Well,
That's
so,
sordid gain.
That's sordid gain.
no lovers of money, remember,
a lot of schools, money, that was what we were.
the love
The
of
root
money
of all kinds of
is
evil.
the root
Yeah,
of all
but
evil.
love.
So, the love of money. And so if you love money, you lose that balance. And you will do things that are harmful to others to enrich yourself.
I can't love money always
It doesn't hang around you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much money you have, because some of the poorest people were some of the most covetous people.
You know what, Pastor?
Can't wait to make the next deal.
Pastor, I heard it said by a pastor out in Washington State one time, Pastor Miner said, they say money talks, but all I've ever heard it say was goodbye.